Have you ever taken a rest and not done anything? I want to talk to you about rest. God talks a lot about rest in the Bible, and in fact, He is the epitome of example because He who didn't need to rest, rested after He created everything in 6 days. Have you been feeling guilty about resting? I want to remind you that there were a number of examples where people heard from God or were commended by Jesus for resting. I want to remind you that in the Old Testament, it was punishable by death if you did not take the Sabbath rest as God commanded. If you just had to work, if you just had to do that thing, it was punishable by death. In the New Testament, we see a different example, but Jesus says to Martha that Mary chose the better thing when she sat at Jesus' feet. Now, as a woman, as a Christian woman, we often read the story of Martha and Mary and we go, but Jesus, who was going to make the food? If everybody sat at your feet and just listened and soaked up all that goodness, who would have made the meal? But God, Jesus, commended Mary. And He mentioned that Martha was not just working. There was no rest in her heart. That's perhaps the biggest point of this. Are you resting in your heart, in your soul? There's physical tiredness, but that's not usually what burdens us. It is the soul weariness. It is the lack of spiritual rest and quietness. It is the turmoil in our minds. I know that this has taken me a long time to get to a point where I feel that I am in a good place, where I can communicate this to you. God has taught me a lot about rest in recent months, in the last year or so. He has called me apart. Has He called you apart, friend? Has He made you aware of your busyness and said, stop? Just stop. Someone that I read recently, and I wish I could remember who to give them credit for it, but they talked about just taking 15 minutes and doing nothing. I don't know very many people who are busy and productive who follow that. I have been attempting to give myself permission, and I want to give you permission, if you need someone to give you permission, to just rest, to say, I'm done working for the day, even though there is still much to do. Your productivity deteriorates. Our effectiveness for the Lord does not go up with the pressure and the stress and the pushing. I call it pushing. I, for a long time, was pushing too hard, pushing and pushing and pushing. Have you ever been working, but you didn't feel fatigued inside? You were so aligned with what you were doing. It was filling you up to do what you were doing. It may have been very physical, or it may have been exhausting, or very, very high work, but you didn't feel exhausted. When Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, after she left, the disciples came, and he was filled up inside. He hadn't eaten anything, but he communicated to them how filled up he was by doing his Father's work. Are you using your gifts and talents for the Lord's work? You have a business, perhaps you have a ministry. I'm talking to you, especially as a Christian woman, because we often wear so many hats and we think we have to do it all. Have you gotten into a comparison trap where you're looking at all the other people who are doing all these things and you feel like you have to do all those things? Again, I want to give you permission to rest and not do it all. I want to give you permission and especially ask you to take time to sit at Jesus' feet, to be quiet, to be silent before the Lord. Ask Him to speak to you. Ask Him to communicate to you what you should do, when you should do it, how you should do it, maybe for what purpose you should do it, with whom you should do it. Should you do it? Should you delegate it? To just listen. God will lead you. He will show you the way. Rest is so important. I'm going to be talking about this concept in different ways and from different angles. So make sure to come back and watch again. Click below and get on the wait list for Well Done Woman Academy. We're going to delve into this, and if you have been pushing, if you're doing all the right things, but you're exhausted and you're headed for burnout, I invite you. How's your rest?